While others are struggling for food, he's flaunting a beer. I bet he has a deal with the producers. He even netted a load of fish. This feels less like survival and more like a gourmet vacation. It's day 9, and 7 participants remain. With no rain today, Kristen feels much better. It would be great if she could find some food, so she takes a stroll nearby, enjoying the cool breeze. As she takes in the stunning scenery, she feels a sense of renewal. She just has to be careful not to trip. It's not just about avoiding a broken leg. She walks for a while, finding nothing, until a foul smell hits her. Kristen finds a dead deer on the shore that seems old. What should she do with it? Stein is in a good mood today. He starts his morning by making tea. The firewood he had stored is almost used up. He'll need to gather more wood later, but for now, he's focused on using up what he has. He looks for fish by the shore. After that, he'll find out if he's going hungry today. Stein slowly pulls in the fishing line, but it's as empty as his face. His mood instantly drops. He doesn't mind fishing, he just hates not catching anything. With only one small fish to show for his efforts, most people would have quit by now. Stein believes his spot is just unlucky. He's sure he'd have caught fish if the producers had put him on the other island. Now he can only try the deeper waters. If he sets the net there, it shouldn't get stuck on the rocks. He wants to give it a shot. A gill net is still crucial. Meanwhile, Kristen has been eyeing the deer for a while, thinking about what can be used. There are no visible bite marks, just some spots pecked by birds. The deer probably drifted here from somewhere else. Should she try to process it? Even if the meat isn't good, there could be other useful parts. But Kristen opts to rest instead. She decides it's not worth the effort. I think it's a missed opportunity. Meanwhile, John and Vanna have caught some fish. John is slowly getting used to the surroundings. He's sure he can catch fish as long as they're around. With his method, he won't have to worry about food for the next few days. The key to his success is cleaning the net after each catch. This ensures no debris interferes, so when fish swim by, they get caught. John now has 15 fish. Theoretically, 1 fish a day means he can stay on the island for half a month. Ann-Mai isn't as lucky. Every time she uses the fishing net, it's a battle. Water seeps into her shoes, making her shiver from the cold. Drying her socks is time-consuming. Catching fish makes it worthwhile, but she usually returns empty-handed. Ann-Mai tries to step on rocks to cross, and I'm worried she'll slip into the water. Today, she had some luck. As soon as she pulled the net, she felt fish struggling. She quickly reeled it in and caught 2 fish. Ann-Mai was overjoyed. She cleaned the fish quickly. They weren't very big, but smoking them would make them last longer. Goodness. These fish won't be enough for me, so I'll have to make them last a few days. Only the tough survive out here. The only problem is her stamina. She gets winded after a short walk. Next time she retrieves the net, it might be even harder. Stein gathered some firewood close by, likely just enough for one night. He finds this kind of work exhausting. It's really exhausting. He still needs to process the firewood and then check the fishing net. He feels like his body is about to give out. If he could, he'd just lie down and rest until the next day. But his stomach won't agree, growling with hunger. Stein's mental state is getting worse. He's considering quitting. He doesn't want to ruin his health for a prize he might not win. For now, he can only eat a few nuts to get by, but the nearby supply is limited and will soon run out. He needs to find a way to catch more fish. Ever since John caught fish, he hasn't stopped smiling. You'd think he had already won the prize. Then, he noticed something on the shore. Who knew you could find beer in the wild? The packaging was intact, and it wasn't expired. He seriously suspects the show crew put it there. John's having a great day. Loads of fish and a beer. This feels more like a wild vacation than survival. Too bad there's no one to share it with. It's not time to get drunk yet. I'll chill it in the stream. Rune's off to the mountain top and can snack on berries when he's hungry. This doesn't seem like a competition. He enjoys hiking in the scenery, and he's been wandering for ages. Only the antlers have some collectible value. I planned to finish hiking this mountain, but it suddenly started raining. I had to retreat to the shelter. Ann-Mai is so hungry she's questioning everything. The fishing net can catch fish. She lacks the energy to set it up and prefers gathering food on the mountain. Plus, she wants to avoid getting her feet wet again. It takes ages to warm up by the fire. I wonder what food is up the mountain. Maybe catching more fish and stocking up is a better idea. Ann-Mai is too tired to grill fish and is cozy in her sleeping bag. Stein rested until nearly dark. Then he remembered to check the fishing net by the shore. If he could, he really wouldn't want to go there. The net always gets tangled. He spends a lot of time and energy on it. He can't see the water clearly anymore. He can't feel any fish moving. He dreads handling the net again. Stein knows that despite his efforts, he can't catch any fish. He knows he won't make it to the end for the prize. Now, he's just taking it day by day and plans to leave in a few days. Thinking this way eases his mind. Stein can contact the crew for an early ticket home. Apart from wanting to leave, he mostly wants to tear the fishing net apart. At night, you can still see the aurora. Kristen loves being in nature. She feels totally at ease but wishes her family could share it. It's now day 10 of the challenge. Allan has another bold idea. He thinks being alone in the wild is too boring. He should make something to entertain himself. He considers making a musical instrument to play, believing in his musical talent. If he weren't so passionate about outdoor adventures, he'd be performing next door. Now, he can have a hot cup of tea every day. Life is pretty good. He strongly suggests everyone give it a shot. It's way better than your coffee. Allan believes spending 10 days here is quite an achievement. But lately, time seems to pass slowly. He thought he had been busy for a long time, only to realize it had been mere minutes. This really impacts his mood and stability. He should check the fishing net by the shore. As long as I can consistently catch fish, my mood will naturally improve. I'm quite confident in my fishing skills. Catching a fish daily is easy for me. Allan claims he's caught something, but he hasn't. No fish at all. My body feels weaker. Right now, I only have some berries to eat. I have no idea when I'll catch a fish. Stein is debating whether to keep going. If he doesn't catch any fish today, he'll call the crew right away. He was already thin, but days of starvation have made him even frilier. He feels like a strong wind could blow him away. If I catch some fish, I might last a few more days, but this belt is falling apart. Let's see if nature has any surprises for me. Without food to fill my stomach, forcing myself to stay will only get me carried out by the crew. Stein is already prepared to leave. Anyway, I think even if he catches fish every day from now on, his body won't hold up. Sooner or later, he'll have to quit and go home to rest. Would you keep going or give up? Kristen is quite content with her current life. You don't have to worry about rain in the shelter. It's roomy. He plans to use nearby materials to make a living space. By doing this, he can stop smoke from building up inside. Since the wind usually comes from that direction, he should stack more materials here to block it. Working under the sun is really comfortable. I'm planning to gather all the stones here. I'm sure I can build something great. First, I need to figure out the size, maybe a bit smaller than the shelter. It shouldn't be too hard to build. The constant moving, assembling, and stacking can get tiring. In survival, you need to stay active to avoid overthinking. The rhythm of survival can be thrown off, and despite his growling stomach, he insists on finishing this task before eating. Or so he claims. But as he kept busy, thoughts of his family crept in, and his mood plummeted. He lost all motivation to continue. I sat there in silence, missing my family and wondering how my wife was coping alone. The thought of quitting and going home suddenly hit me. Looks like someone else is getting ready to leave. John had planned to go fishing today, but the waves outside are just too big. Fortunately, he has a spot to store fish, so he can eat whenever he's hungry. He also found a bucket on the shore. Initially, I considered using it for a bath, but with the weather cooling, I'll need to build an oven in the shelter for warmth. The best part is it won't smoke, so it'll be comfy to sleep. I'll begin by making a hole at the bottom. It should resemble this, with smoke escaping through the hole. I've been gathering firewood daily. I can take a break from gathering firewood in the rain. It's the perfect moment to test the smoking effect, and it's working perfectly. The surface is perfect, no issues at all. No need to worry about it going wrong. Next, I just need to catch more fish to smoke and preserve. Stein feels quite calm now. Before leaving, he wants to prove he can build a shelter, which is much easier than fishing. He ties the tree branches together with rope and then just needs to set them up. Stein's strength is clearly not enough. He keeps repositioning and retrying. What should have been a simple lift now requires a step-by-step effort. It took a lot of time and effort, but he finally got the frame up. He feels this challenge is enough for him. Next, he just needs to place the logs and waterproof cloth, and his new shelter will be done. His main disappointment is the fishing net's poor performance. Kristen has spent a lot of time moving and arranging wood before the survival challenge. The participants all receive training. He hasn't seen his kids for half a year and doesn't know how much they've grown. If possible, he wishes his wife could bring the kids to share this experience, valuing family togetherness. The kids, if they could speak, would likely say, "No, I don't want to do this." Ann-Mai decides to use all her energy for hiking. After being here so long, she finally reaches a high point and the view is stunning. All the hard work is worth it. The water here is so sweet and her mood has improved a lot. But on the way down, she saw a bear. It seems the bear will stick around for a while, which explains the lack of fish. This is bad news. She knows she can't fend off a bear and just wants to return to her shelter to rest, wondering if it's all in her head. But she constantly feels like a bear is watching. She already struggles to sleep, and now it's even tougher. Stein comes to the shore to check the fishing net. Just one fish, even a small one, would convince him to stay a few more days. However, the net is empty and tangled. He's tired of fixing it and feels ready to call the show crew. He's feeling very down. He thinks there's nothing wrong with his setup. I can't seem to catch any fish. It's the show's fault for picking this spot. Blaming them made Stein feel a bit better. Back at the shelter, he sat down to rest. After this last meal, he could go home. How great it would be if it came with some fish. Apart from always being hungry, the shelter was poorly set up. Cold winds blew in at night, and he could only stay warm by shivering. His body was visibly weak, with bones already protruding. If he could, Stein would love to keep going. How could a place so beautiful be so barren? It seemed wonderful at first, but now it's just miserable. If he had another chance, he'd definitely join again. Meanwhile, Allan felt much better thanks to the uplifting weather. It's hard not to feel good in such weather. The moonlight tonight is beautiful. He hoped his family could enjoy it too. And May's situation was very dire. It was truly cold at night, with frost forming outside. Sitting by the fire didn't help much. She could only get a bit warmer by shivering. Although she wanted to keep going, the thought of Yuxiong wandering nearby and having plenty of food made her think it was better to go home early for a good meal. Meanwhile, Stein was so cold he couldn't sleep. He kept inching closer to the fire for warmth. Though he once avoided meat, now he'd devour a whole pile if he could. He'd definitely devour it all. I can't understand why he didn't leave in the afternoon and chose to endure another day. Finally, on the 11th day, Kristen felt she missed her family more and more and was thinking about quitting and going home. And May felt lightheaded and very unwell. Her body was at its breaking point. Even with a heap of fish, she wouldn't feel like eating. If she could participate again, she would focus more on food. Stein had become skin and bones. It was time to leave the shelter and head back to his cozy bed. He hadn't expected to see Toru before departing. This challenge was quite satisfying. The show didn't expect two people to quit simultaneously. There weren't many female contestants to begin with. With both having quit, it's unclear if any woman can win in the wilderness. And May and Stein had packed up and left. They were in high spirits, looking forward to a good meal at home. If there's a next time, they hope it will be in a place with more resources. Now, just 5 contestants are left. Who do you think will win?